Do humans have the power to move objects in their external reality using nothing but focused intent? Welcome to the SAGE Network, Project 3, the Psi Wheel Experiment. In this video, we will attempt to find out if the phenomenon of telekinesis is real, and if it's something that you and I can achieve through a simple experiment that can be performed at home. Psychic abilities have fascinated humanity for the longest time, and when the topic of psychic abilities is brought up, what people commonly think of is telepathy, telekinesis, or mediumship. But as telepathy has been slowly making its way into mainstream media and public consciousness as a potentially very real phenomenon, psychokinesis has been falling more and more into the realm of science fiction. What is the reason for this tendency? The most obvious and skeptical explanation is people probably tried it and it never worked, and so we just collectively decided to drop the subject. But if you begin to deep beyond the surface and think of it more philosophically, you may arrive at a deeper reason, rooted in the fear of the unknown. It is always hard to challenge our beliefs. With telepathy and materials such as telepathy tapes, it's becoming more and more plausible that the ability to perceive each other's thoughts and feelings directly may indeed exist and be real. But no matter how much proof we have, there is always plausible deniability, because it is an intrinsically mental phenomenon with little to no physical manifestation. Psychokinesis, however, is the ability to directly influence physical matter. And if that ability is demonstrated or experienced directly by you, there is no room left for plausible deniability, and you are forced to grapple with a most intense paradigm shift. An unfamiliar reality where consciousness is primary to matter and has direct control over it. And it is my personal belief of this revelation might be just a little too much for many people, or perhaps it has been the case until recently. But I do believe that humanity is ready. And although psychokinesis has been relegated to the realm of science fiction and hasn't been seriously considered by the majority of human population, there are some stark examples of official studies conducted in this area with remarkable individuals such as Nina Kulagina, a Russian woman studied by Soviet scientists for her ability to move objects inside a sealed transparent box; Daniel Dunglas Home, a 19th century Scottish medium famous for levitating objects, and even himself, under controlled conditions, and he has never been exposed for fraud; Stefan Osowiecki, a Polish clairvoyant and psychokinesis researcher, studied for his apparent ability to manipulate objects mentally. But of course, mentioning these individuals, we cannot help but run into another barrier on the path of studying the phenomenon of psychokinesis, and that is the possibility of fraud. For example, the famous psychic Uri Geller has been accused of employing stage magic to either add a flair to his performances or fabricate them altogether. And regardless of what you think about Mr. Geller and his abilities, it is hard to completely dismiss the accusations of fraud, especially with such a high-profile individual. And that in turn casts doubt on any other person that claims to possess the ability of psychokinesis, no matter how prominent and credible. One last obstacle that I am aware of is the concept that has been ingrained in every society around the world for many generations, and that is that spiritual powers are the domain of a few chosen individuals that are special, somehow chosen by fate, and not everyone is worthy or capable of possessing such abilities. That perception is beginning to move away, making room for rigorous research and structured training that does allow anyone with enough persistence and open-mindedness to begin to develop their psychic abilities. Just like all the Sage Network experiments, this experiment is designed to be easily replicable at home, because no matter how much you trust me, a video can always be faked, and so the best proof you can get is trying it for yourself and finding out if you can achieve the same results by repeating the same experiment. And the more people do that, the more credible the results will become. Here's a simple list of ingredients that you will need. A small square piece of paper or tinfoil, folded into a lightweight wheel shape. A toothpick or a needle to act as the axle. I do recommend a needle over a toothpick, because the sharper point will minimize the friction with the surface of the paper. A hot glue gun or a similar adhesive material to attach the needle to the surface. And optionally, but importantly, either a glass jar or some other container to prevent the wheel from being moved by air fluctuations. You will also need a stable surface to make sure that vibrations in the environment are not moving the wheel. Another factor is static electricity, so it's best to perform the experiment in a neutral humidity environment to prevent that factor from affecting the experiment. First, fold a psi wheel out of a square piece of paper or tinfoil, as shown in the video. Attach a toothpick securely to the flat lid of a glass jar if you're following my setup, or any stable surface, using hot glue or another adhesive, like plasticine in my case. Place the psi wheel on top of the needle's or toothpick's tip, ensuring free movement. Position the setup on a stable surface, completely protected from environmental disturbances. Once the setup is ready, you can begin to practice daily. And remember that consistency is important, and if you want to see results, you need to be patient and not give up. Try not to skip days and put your full attention into the process. You can perform the experiment for as long as you want, but for the sake of structure, I'm going to do it for 15 minutes a day for the next 30 days. And at the end of that period, I'm going to release a report video showing my potential findings. There are a few steps that I recommend to master before you begin to attempt to actually spin the wheel. First thing you would want to do is to train and increase your body awareness by performing daily body scan meditations. It is similar to a regular mindfulness meditation where you sit for a while, in our case for 15 minutes, but you can start with 5 and slowly increase the duration. And focus on scanning your body with your attention, from the tip of your toes to the top of your head, or vice versa, whichever is more comfortable for you. Don't try to fix anything, but just focus on the sensations in your body. After you were successful in scanning your body without getting interrupted and without your attention trailing off, try to perceive your entire body all at the same time, perceiving all the sensations all at once. Once you've mastered that, you can move on to breathing exercises in order to learn how to raise your vibration and energy levels. There are many ways to do it, but one that I recommend the most is a visualization technique where you breathe in through your nose, and as you do so, you visualize the energy entering your nose along with the air and traveling up into your third eye area, your crown chakra, and then back down along your spine towards your core. And as you breathe out, you pull the energy up again along your abdomen and chest and allow it to exit through your mouth. And as the energy exits, you can visualize it taking away all the tension and negativity that might have accumulated in your body. And so with each breath in, you allow fresh, vibrant energy to enter and nourish your body. And with each breath out, you release the stagnant and negative energy. Next come the energy sensitivity exercises. And the simplest one you can perform is placing your palms parallel to each other in front of your chest and begin to move them back and forth until you begin to feel almost like there is a magnet between your hands. As you continue the motion, you can feel the magnetism intensify, and then you can start moving your hands further and further apart. And once you can still feel the magnet with your hands at shoulder width, you are ready to move on to the next exercise. At this point, you can place your hands in front of your chest once again, but this time visualize a ball of energy between your hands. Begin to perform the energy breathing exercise, but this time visualize the energy from your breaths going into the energy ball that you're holding between your hands. Visualize it becoming firmer and brighter, and really focus on the vividness of the sensations. There's much more you can do with these energy exercises, but once you have a vivid, bright, and firm ball of energy between your hands, you are finally ready to move on to the sigh wheel. Once you're ready, get into the meditative state by performing a body scan and the breathing exercise. And then place your hands to either side of the wheel and feel the energy from your hands expanding and beginning to move the wheel. Choose one direction, clockwise or counterclockwise at first, and focus on that for the sake of simplicity. Don't be discouraged if you don't get results right away. Just continue to practice until you begin to notice a motion. Don't try to force the wheel to move. The cliché Hollywood trope with psychics bursting with efforts until they start getting nosebleeds isn't necessarily accurate and reflects the actual process. What it looks or feels like more is that you connect with the wheel until you begin to feel like it's a natural extension of your body. The effort and focus associated with the wheel's movement is more similar to the same way as you would move your fingers. You don't necessarily make a lot of conscious effort to do that. You're just kind of aware of the fingers as parts of your body, and you don't have to think about it too hard. You just will them to move and they do so. And when you achieve the same level of connection and comfort with the wheel, this is when you can start to begin getting some results. In these videos, I am trying to be as honest and objective as possible, because what really matters is the truth. What's really out there? I have a skeptical but curious mind, and so I'm not going into it with high expectations, but I will perform the experiment diligently and report my findings earnestly. With that being said, I invite you to participate with me and share your results as well. The setup is simple enough, and it only takes 15 minutes a day. But the implications of the experiment, assuming it works, are profound and transformative. And even if you don't succeed in moving the psi wheel, you will still get a lot from the meditative and breathwork practice. So with that, I thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you've enjoyed it or learned something new. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, leave a comment, either sharing your experience or opinion or some feedback about the setup of the experiment. Check out the links in the description if you would like to connect with me or support me further. And with that, I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you next time.